Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We'll give it another minute for other folks to join. I'm sure the notifications are just going out. Hey, Ann Philbeck, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Today, we're going to be talking about cholesterol. We're going to be talking about food and herbs for cholesterol. And more specifically, we're going to talk about information that's shared in this book here, Cholesterol Down. It's going to be a great discussion. Thank you all for joining me. And a couple of little things to share before I get started. Let me go ahead and do my disclaimer. So, for this Herbal Study Hall, we hold this Herbal Study Hall once a week. And as part of that, we talk about herbs, we talk about herbal medicine, we dive deep into some information from the clinical perspective. We cover Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, and also just Western herbalism and how all of those combine. I try to incorporate some Native American use of herbs also. And this is for educational purposes only. So if you have any sort of healthcare condition, I want to encourage you to chat with your physician before you partake of any change to your healthcare plan, including herbs and herbal medicine. Again, do your own research. I am not a doctor, and this is for educational purposes only. All right, let me get this pulled up here so I can make sure that I see the chat in case I get frozen up or anything. Hey, Homestead Rachel, thank you for coming. Good to see you. Hey, Jennifer, thank you for coming. Good to see you as well. All right. So we're going to talk about cholesterol today, and I'm going to share with you some of the information that's in this book. I do think it's a great book. Hey, Ann Philbeck, good to see you. Hey, Tamra, thanks for coming. My father actually did the diet plan that's included in this book, and it was successful. He dropped his cholesterol. Oh my goodness, it was over 100 points. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it had a huge impact for him. So it was awesome. I got water in my cup tonight. No tea for me just yet. How about everybody else? What y'all got in your cup? Anybody drinking tea, or is it water? We've got some hot days ahead. I know a lot of us have had a lot of rain. All right. And get your pens and your notebooks ready because we're going to go ahead and get started. So the big question is, can food act like medicine for cardiovascular health? And of course, we all know that it can. Awesome, Anne. Yep. Water, water, water. Lots of water this time of year. So the cholesterol down book, actually, one of the points that it makes is that cholesterol is not just determined by genetics alone, but by consistent dietary habits. And one thing that's fun about this book is that it doesn't tell you what not to eat, because to be fair, we all know what we're not supposed to eat. Hey, Marianne, no worries. Thanks for coming. But it tells you what you should eat. It talks about cholesterol, the different kinds of cholesterol, our body's in response to inflammation and injury to our vessels, because that's basically what happens. So high level, real quick. So you've got your LDL, your HDL, your triglycerides. What are those? Let's talk about that for just a moment. So your LDL is your lower density lipoprotein. And those transport cholesterol to tissues. The excess LDL can also contribute to plaque formation. It's kind of considered the bad guy. And oxidized LDL is particularly problematic. HDL is often considered your good cholesterol, and it helps transport cholesterol back to the liver and supports cholesterol recycling and removal. So you want to have a higher HDL and you want to have a lower LDL. Triglycerides is a stored form of fat, and it's often elevated if you're somebody who has been diagnosed as having like the beginning stages of diabetes, or has been noted as having issues with insulin resistance. You're going to find that you have a higher triglycerides. Your sugars can actually raise that. So one of the biggest takeaways of this book is that you can incorporate combination foods to help to lower your cholesterol. Hey, Neer, good to see you. And the whole premise is if we take food like a dietary herbal formula, then we can have some results from that. And there's different foods that work by different mechanisms to lower cholesterol. So the foods that Cholesterol Down suggests that you take in are all chosen because that way you're taking advantage of the different pathways to get rid of and to lower the cholesterol that's in your body. So just a reminder, and I marked a couple pages here because I want to point out some things. Your LDL is what forms plaque. That's your plaque former, which clogs the arteries. That's called atherosclerosis. HDL is manufactured in the small intestine and the liver. Those are the primary sources of your HDL. So want to point that out. And there was another, it gave the ratio in here because a lot of people think that all of your cholesterol is based on what you eat, and it's not. Our body produces cholesterol. And you don't need to just eat cholesterol laden foods to have higher cholesterol because your body actually produces it too. So kind of keep that in mind. And okay, bouncing back over here. The first food that it suggests is oatmeal and oat bran. I want to point out another thing. This book was written, it's an older book, so that's good to note when we talk about some of the things that it suggests in here. This book was copywritten in 2006. Cholesterol Down by Janet Bond. So the first thing that it suggests is oatmeal and oat bran, and we are going to talk about herbs too. Burdock and dandelion root helps with those numbers. Yep, it does, and 100%. So oatmeal and oat bran, the whole concept behind that food as being good at lowering cholesterol is that fiber binds bile acids, and bile acids are made from cholesterol. So the liver has to pull cholesterol from the blood to make new bile, and that's why your bile producing herbs are going to be good at helping lower cholesterol because it encourages your liver to pull cholesterol from the blood in order to produce the bile. Which, when I went back and I read this book, and because I read this many, many years ago, when I went back and I read it to prepare for this live today, when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, because now I'm looking at it from, me having studied herbalism like another 10 years, right? I think I read this like possibly 10, 15 years ago. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness. So that explains all of the herbs that are good at lowering cholesterol. Any herbs that produce bile are going to help to do that. Thought that rhubarb patch was taken, but it's burdock. Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, too much of a good thing might not be a good thing, but definitely dig up some of the roots for sure. Food is medicine too. Yep. So your oatmeal, by increasing the fiber, binds with the bile acids. And because it does that, those bile acids are created from cholesterol. I would say if you're somebody who your body maybe produces a lower amount of stomach acid, keep that in mind when you're eating the oatmeal and make sure that you eat it with fruits so that you don't end up with acid reflux or something like that. I had lab work done. I only got results of LDL, not HDL or triglycerides or total, so I couldn't figure out ratios. Interesting. I haven't heard of that happening. I don't know why they would order just one and not the others. That's odd. Burdock, mullein, mugwort everywhere. Oh, congratulations, Jennifer. That's awesome. So if we look at the oats from an herbalism perspective, those are nutritive, demulcent. And if you think about oat straw, how it could be one of your nervines that's great for your nervous system. Well, so is oatmeal. Oatmeal is great at supporting your nervous system during times of stress as well. So that's your first food, oatmeal. I'm going to write this down too, so I don't have to look through all of my notes as I come back through it. So your first one's oatmeal. And I have the page marked where it tells you like how much of what you eat every day. So I will share that at the end. The next food up is almonds. Almonds for helping to lower your cholesterol. They provide monounsaturated fats, vitamin E, antioxidants. I think everybody knows almonds are great for you, but why are they lowering cholesterol? They reduce the oxidation of your LDLs. They improve your cholesterol profile, and they're great for vascular support. That's why the author includes them. And she has a section in here for each one of these foods. She'll have like this one, the section on almonds is a good, how many pages is this? 75. It's about 15 pages long. And throughout the book, she's going to share different people's stories of folks that have followed her prescription and lowered their cholesterol. And I have a firsthand account of my father who did this. Here you go, cholesterol down. And it's all about foods. So also the benefits of omega-3 fatty acids, right? So you're going to hear more about flax seeds in just a minute. What else does she say about almonds? Let me see if there's any certain notes in here I need to incorporate. So raw, roasted, or almond butter. And now we have almond milk. So any way that you can consume them, that's good. And she references 38 volunteers that had high cholesterol that were placed on 3.5 ounces of almonds per day, roasted, salted, raw, or as almond butter. And at the end of the 4-week study, the participants who had eaten those almonds saw the largest drop in the raw almond group at 12% versus a 7% drop in the roasted and almond butter groups. So while you can use all of those, your raw almonds give you the best. They also target LDL cholesterol, and you get the healthy fats from your almonds as opposed to like olive oil or butter, it says. Okay, here we go. It calls it method of attack for your almonds. They contain that really high amount of monounsaturated fats, and scientists think that this type of fat becomes incorporated into the score of the LDL molecule, changing the shape such that it binds more easily to the LDL receptors. The greater the enrichment of LDL with unsaturated fatty acids, the greater the binding of LDL with LDL receptors in the liver. And then it can convert it into bile, right? And it's not just free flowing. So that's method of attack number 1. Method of attack number 2, they contain a large amount of dietary fiber. They have the highest amount of dietary fiber of all of the tree nuts. So high fiber diets, again, you increase your fiber, and the fiber binds to bile acids. Bile acids are made from cholesterol, so your liver has to pull more cholesterol from your blood in order to create the bile that's going to bind with the fiber. Okay? Now, there's a third method of attack for almonds. They contain antioxidants, including 2 particularly powerful types, flavonoids and vitamin E, which help prevent oxidation. Remember earlier when we were talking about cholesterol, we were talking about how cholesterol is bad, but when it's oxidized, it's even worse. So almonds have vitamin E, which helps prevent oxidation. That's the precursor to plaque buildup or atherosclerosis. Um, all right, and there's a fourth one. So method of attack for almonds. They have an unusually high amount of the amino acid arginine, which is necessary for construction of nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is responsible for relaxing your arteries. So they open up, which lowers your blood pressure in the process. And it also decreases platelet adhesion, meaning that it prevents your blood platelets from sticking to the cells that line your blood vessels. Okay. So 4 different ways that almonds can help you lower your cholesterol and protect your overall health. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is flaxseed. I think I kind of gave you a precursor to that. And again, every chapter is going to have a story. This story is about somebody who was 82. Pre-total cholesterol was 212 milligrams. LDL cholesterol was 144 milligrams per deciliter. And the post, so after going on the diet plan, the total cholesterol was lowered to 169 from 212, and the LDL cholesterol was lowered to 92 from 144. Okay. Don't make the oatmeal with a cup of sugar. Good advice, Jennifer. Actually, when I was doing this and when my father did it too, do the bowl of oatmeal, do flaxseed on it, and then do your apple. Then you got your oatmeal, your apple. We'll get to apple in a minute, but that's one of them. So flaxseed's really high in your omega-3s. And basically, you just want to make sure you're consuming more omega-3s than omega-6s. Omega-6s are going to be in your bag of chips and your corn nuts and anything that has seed oils, right? That's where your omega-6s come from. Let me see if there's a good way to explain the omega-6s. Okay, so in animals, we can use an animal model here. The effect of omega-3 fatty acids versus omega-6 fatty acids on blood vessel health was investigated in a study of mice who were bred to rapidly develop atherosclerosis and blood clots. Japanese researchers demonstrated that the mouse diet highest in ALAs, or omega-3s, derived from flaxseed oil was the most effective in suppressing atherosclerosis and the formation of blood clots. Conversely, the mouse diet highest in your linoleic acids, your LAs, which is omega-6s, derived from safflower oil, showed the greatest degree of plaque formation and a much more prone tendency for the blood to clot. So your flaxseed is high in omega-3s. Let me see if it has any other big takeaways in here. Method of attack number 1. Okay, this is another animal study. It was done on rabbits. Suggested that a particular lignan found in flaxseed. Can you make a picture with flaxseed? I mean, I probably could. If I share my screen, I know I'm going to freeze up, though. That's the problem. So anyways, the lignan found in flax is the major active ingredient responsible for the LDL cutting action of flaxseed. In this study, the lignan portion of flaxseed isolated in rabbits were fed the cholesterol-raising rabbit chow, either with or without the added lignan. And at the end of the 8-week test period, the lignan-fed rabbits exhibited a 35% reduction in LDL cholesterol. So I guess important takeaway, they were fed a cholesterol-raising food, but they ate the flaxseed and they showed a 35% reduction in their LDL cholesterol, despite eating the cholesterol-inducing food. And it's all because of this special lignan that's found in flax. And there's a scientific name for it. I don't know if anybody wants to know, and I don't know that I want to read it. It's like, I don't know, 10 syllables, ends in diglucoside. But anyways, so that was method of attack number 1, is that special lignan that lowers cholesterol. Method of attack number 2, 25% of the fiber in flax seeds is soluble. So what are they saying here? They are saying that Oh, I guess University of Arizona worked with guinea pigs to do more research on them. Soluble fiber affects the composition of your VLDL secreted from the liver, such that the particles have a higher content of phospholipids and a correspondingly lower amount of cholesterol. So it resulted in a change in the VLDL composition and slowing the conversion rate of VLDL to LDL. So when you go to get your labs done, usually you're asked to do a fasting lab. And one of the reasons for that is because when you're talking about cholesterol, there's actually different types of cholesterol. And some of these are eliminated from your bloodstream if you fast. There are 4 types of lipoproteins. Those are like your cholesterol guys. That's what the L at the end stands for. So LDL is the last L is lipoprotein. So there is one called chylomicrons and one called VLDL, which is very low density lipoprotein. Those are basically eliminated from your bloodstream, or at least lowered to an amount that they're not going to be significant when you get your blood drawn if you're fasting. So that's why they have you fast, so they can look truly at your LDLs and your HDLs, and the other 2 don't get in the way. But the VLDL converts over to LDL. So less conversion means less circulating LDL cholesterol. Does that make sense? Furthermore, changes in the ratio of cholesterol to phospholipids in liver cell walls as a result of soluble fiber in the diet leads to greater liver cell membrane fluidity. Hey, Jan. Hey, Heather. Good to see you guys. So that's method of attack number 2 for the flax seeds. So again, they have a special lignan, and they also disrupt your conversion of VLDL to LDL, which is a good thing. Method of attack number 3, just a soluble fiber increases membrane fluidity. The omega-3s in the flax seeds are polyunsaturated fats that gives them beneficial effects on cell membranes as well. So it encourages your cell membranes to be more flexible. It encourages them to be more pliable rather than stiff saturated fats do. So if you have an increase in your polyunsaturated fats, then that helps to keep your membranes a little more flexible. So that is method of attack number 3, because you definitely don't want your vessels to be stiff, because that ends up being like atherosclerosis. Hey, Penny, good to see you. Thank you for coming. All right. Let's see. Do I have any other notes to share on flaxseed? Soluble fiber, omega-3s, lignans. Oh, one note. Freshly ground flaxseed is best. It helps your body to absorb it and make use of it. It's also good for bowel regularity. And as we mentioned, it helps with overall inflammation too. All right. We're going to move on to the next food, which is psyllium or Metamucil, but psyllium. And the reason that she selected psyllium, here's another story for you. In this one, we talk about a patient she had that was 75 years old, total cholesterol before going on the diet, 209 milligrams. LDL cholesterol was 123 milligrams. After the diet, the total cholesterol went down to 157 and the LDL went down to 67. Okay, so the Metamucil or psyllium, what does it do? Obviously, it's a huge fiber source, and this used to be a thing. Like, you used to hear a lot about Metamucil and psyllium husk and incorporating that into your diet, and I feel like people don't talk about that as much anymore, but it is very effective. It binds cholesterol-containing bile acids. Again, you get your fiber, right? And fiber binds the bile acids. The bile acids are made from cholesterol. It forces your liver to pull more cholesterol from the blood so that it can bind to make the bile, right? And then the bile is going to bind with the fiber. So you're in this loop of getting rid of this cholesterol in your body. It also supports, again, healthy bowel regularity and elimination, and it will significantly improve LDL levels. And some of these stories, I just want to mention, these aren't just, patients who have no other health problems. The stories she shares in this book, these are people who have all kinds of other health issues, and they're able to do this diet. So all of these foods we're talking about, I mean, we're talking about foods, right? Um, they're not going to tend to interfere with anybody's medication or anything. Grapefruit is not on the list. Just saying. We're not going to be talking about that one. All right. So let's see if she has anything else to say about the psyllium in here, or Metamucil, if you will. Soluble fibers. She makes a note to point out that they differ chemically from insoluble fibers because soluble fibers dissolve in water. But not all soluble fibers are effective at lowering LDL cholesterol. Only those soluble fibers that carry the important characteristic of viscosity, the ability to form a water-holding network or bolus within the intestine that is resistant to flow. Only those ones are capable of effectively reducing cholesterol. So soluble fiber, if you're wondering, what is that? It's what makes the oatmeal gummy. It's what makes the Metamucil kind of thick, to make it have like a bit of a gel. It's also abundant in barley. As a matter of fact, if you're somebody who doesn't want to eat oats, because I know there's some people that don't eat oats, you could eat barley, would be a good substitute for that. It's also in apples, it's in flax seeds, so it's in these other things, and it's in beans. Insoluble fiber is often termed roughage. It absorbs water, creates a bulky stool that helps to speed up your intestine's ability to transmit the contents from end to end. Insoluble fiber differs from soluble fiber in that it does not form a gel. And good sources of insoluble fiber include wheat bran, popcorn, brown rice, and nuts. Skin on your potatoes, fruit with its peel, that kind of thing. Those are your insoluble fibers. Okay. I love that she gets into the weeds in this book and she explains the differences and things like this. I think it's nice. I like that kind of information. So that's the biggest reason for Metamucil. I'm going to see if she has any of those methods of attack. I like how she does that. Methods of attack. How does it work? Gets rid of bile. Method attack number 1 gets rid of bile acids by physically trapping them in a large mass within the intestine, which is then excreted. So I would think chia seeds too, Tamara. I think so. I believe so. When bile acids are carried out of the body as waste, instead of being recycled, the liver has to pull in more LDL cholesterol from the blood to create the bile. So that's method of attack number 1. It actually envelops the cholesterol in the intestine. In that gel stuff, it gets it stuck in there so it can be eliminated. Method of attack number 2, soluble fiber helps keep cholesterol and fat from entering intestinal cells. It does this by expanding the unstirred water layer, which increases the barrier for diffusion of fat and cholesterol and disturbs the formation of micelles, the cholesterol transport vehicles. That kind of sounds to me like when it captures them in, it prevents them being able to be reabsorbed into your intestinal walls to get back into your bloodstream and continue circulating. So that's method of attack number 2. And then it's talking about the VLDLs again. And they're saying, why does this matter in the context of LDL cholesterol reduction? Just as we saw with the flax seeds, it works to reduce LDL by first affecting that VLDL particle makeup. And remember, VLDLs are made in the liver, and they are the parent of LDLs. So VLDLs convert to LDLs. So thus, psyllium intake modifies the nature, size, and composition of the VLDL particles to prevent them from being formed into LDLs. Got me? See, people live naturally for 100 more. Eat seeds from food. Interesting. Yes, chia seeds to oatmeal. I got that in my notes here in a bit. Too. So method of attack number 3, it's related to 2 cholesterol metabolism enzymes. So, not that it matters, but I'm going to tell you what they are anyways. HMG CoA reductase and 7 alpha hydroxylase. So the HMG guy, HMG CoA reductase, is the main enzyme in the liver cells cholesterol production pathway, whereas 7 alpha hydroxylase is the regulating enzyme in the production of bile acids from cholesterol. Soluble fiber stymies the activity of HMG CoA reductase and increases the activity of the 7 alpha hydroxylase. So decreased HMG CoA reductase activity means less cholesterol produced by your liver cells. Remember, we don't just get cholesterol from foods we eat. Our body is making it too. So your Metamucil, actually the soluble fibers help to reduce the production of the cholesterol in your liver by the enzyme HMG CoA reductase. So that's another way that it works. And then so in other words, on an enzyme level, your psyllium or your Metamucil reduces the production of cholesterol that's produced in your liver. Yeah. All right. So method of attack number 4, it lowers LDL cholesterol by cordoning off glucose, resulting in reduced glucose uptake by the cells lining the small intestine, which in turn lowers insulin levels. Of everything that I read, that last method of attack, I forgot about that one. It was like it never happened. I forgot about that. That's interesting, though, that psyllium or Metamucil, that it actually lowers your insulin levels. I could go to a conference and be able to, yeah. Thank you, Heather. All right. So, any questions so far? Anybody want to stop me before I go on to the next food? So far we've got oatmeal, we have almonds, we have flaxseed, right? Remember, better ground up. We have psyllium or Metamucil. Remember, at the end, I'm going to tell you exactly how much she says that you should eat every day, according to her notes. All right. Next up, beans, lentils, legumes. We're going to talk about the bean family. And I'll tell you right now what the suggestion is that you eat a half a cup of legumes every day. Again, she has another story just to give you an idea of these patients that she's referring to. This person's 45. It's a man. Total cholesterol 246. LDL was 168 pre-diet. Post-diet, it was 198 and total cholesterol and 125 LDL cholesterol. And this was somebody who looks like they worked too much. Horrible, all-American diet kind of thing. All right, so how do beans help? In a nutshell, they provide soluble fiber, plant protein, and minerals. They help improve your fullness, like your satiety, you could say. They're another one helping to stabilize blood sugar. And remember that your triglycerides tend to be, if you're somebody who has high blood sugar, you probably have high triglycerides. They kind of go hand in hand, interestingly enough. And overall, they help to lower cholesterol. So let's see what her methods of attack are. For beans, I'm going to go with, she's going to talk about the fiber again. But I love that she also includes some outcomes of studies that were done. Okay, this is interesting. Here we go with a study at University of Kentucky. They did a study that they believe proves that the mechanism of lowering cholesterol by beans is found in the bean fiber's ability to be fermented in the colon. Kind of like psyllium. I guess psyllium does that a little bit, but we all know about beans and what takes place in the colon. The healthy bacteria feast on both beans' soluble fibers and innate sugars to generate short chain fatty acids, which then hinder cholesterol production in the liver. So again, they're not just lowering the cholesterol because it's a fiber and they're binding with it, right? But they're also encouraging the liver to not produce more cholesterol. So that's method of attack number 1. Method of attack number 2, it's going to talk about the soluble fiber. It talks about it a little differently, though. It says that the soluble fiber in beans works to lower LDL by altering cholesterol diffusion dynamics within the intestine. So beans speed the transit time within the intestine, which lowers the rate of cholesterol absorption. So that's kind of interesting, with the thought being that the beans actually hurry foods through to limit the ability of the intestines to have time to absorb cholesterol. So what's more, it says beans can increase the bulk of the intestinal contents, which can widen the unstirred water layer, making it even more difficult for cholesterol to cross into the intestinal cells. Telling people butter is bad and margarine is healthy. Right? Yeah, some of this, yeah, I'm with you on that, Jennifer. All right, so that's method of attack number 2. Method of attack number 3, beans slow absorption of glucose in the bloodstream. Oh, so if you have like black bean brownies, then that's like really good then, right? It's a sweet thing. Those are actually really good. If anybody has not tried black bean brownies, I would say you need to try them, especially if you're trying to eat healthy. They're really good. I found a really good recipe for those. I've got a video on it. Anyways, moving on. Beans slow absorption of glucose into the bloodstream, decreasing the amount of insulin released from the pancreas. And insulin, so here's another reminder. Insulin stimulates liver production of lipoproteins. In other words, insulin stimulates your liver to produce more cholesterol. So less insulin means less of the VLDL, and remember, that's the parent of LDL. Okay. Method of attack number 4. Studies suggest that a component of several species of legumes can increase liver LDL and beta VLDL receptor activity, therefore decreasing the receptors. So it's grabbing onto them, decreasing LDL in the bloodstream. If the liver is able to bind with the VLDL, the parent of, or the LDL in the liver, that means it can use it, it can create bile with it, and it prevents it from circulating through the bloodstream. And beans will help with the ability of the liver to be able to do that. Let's see. They have amino acid profiles. Oh, okay. So they're rich in an amino acid called arginine. Apparently, it says arginine keeps blood vessels relaxed and expanded to help prevent atherosclerosis. Arginine. Anybody ever taken that as a supplement? All right, method of attack number 5. Besides supplying healthy plant protein, beans also contain an array of phytochemicals, which are powerful chemicals that help squelch plaque buildup by dismantling the free radicals that oxidize LDL during the process of atherosclerosis. So that's method of attack number 5. Beans. Half a cup a day is what she suggests for the beans. Any questions so far? I would tell you from an herbal perspective, there's some really great beans out there. Adzuki beans, mung beans. Oh, look. Okay, she does go through a list of beans here. With all the types of beans, Different beans are interesting. So, adzuki beans, black beans. I recently read an article about black beans, and a lot of people referring to black beans as some of the healthiest beans that there are. But this includes like your black eyed peas, your cannellini beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, a half a cup a day. You can add them to your salads, include them in your tacos, make black bean brownies. um, yes, add them to any taco meals. Oh, and don't forget, like your chickpeas, you can make have naan and hummus. And if you use like sourdough naan, if you make sourdough naan, then that's kind of good for your gut health too. All right, moving on to the next one. Our next food up is apples. An apple a day takes apple a day keeps the doctor away. Homemade hummus is yummy. Black beans, rice, cilantro, lime. Yes. Okay. So we know apples contain pectin, polyphenols, antioxidants. Here's another story. This person's named Charles, 57, and the total cholesterol pre-diet was 305, and total LDL cholesterol 182. After this diet plan, the total cholesterol lowered to 223, and the LDL lowered to 124. So people saw some really big changes. All right, and you might wonder, can you just drink apple juice? It's not the same. You really need the whole fruit. And let's go to her methods of attack. I really like these methods of attack. Malic acid, yes, it does. That's right. Method of attack number 1. Apple antioxidants are incorporated into the LDL molecule, so the antioxidant is oxidized instead of the LDL being oxidized, preventing harm to the LDL molecule, which helps to impede the progression of atherosclerosis. One of my apple trees was down. No reason, it's weird. Healthy tree. That is weird. So method number 1, the antioxidant profile of apples. Method number 2, method of attack number 2. Looks like there was a study at Cornell University performed, and it showed that the apples prevent the oxidation of human LDL cholesterol, but the apple extract also prompted the liver to sprout more LDL receptors. That's interesting. Sprout more LDL receptors. That's interesting. So it encourages your liver to create more receptors to grab onto the LDL. Remember to prevent it from circulating in the bloodstream, because if the liver has it, it can get rid of it when it creates bile. Furthermore, apple extract dampens the activity of a key protein in liver cells that functions to signal the start of the cholesterol production pathway, termed sterol regulatory element binding protein, or SREBP. So apples help to prevent additional cholesterol production by your liver. That's method of attack number 2. Method of attack number 3. Okay, it increases the pool of bile acids in the intestines. Okay, bile acids formed in the liver from cholesterol. The increased amount of bile acids entering the intestine suggests the liver is working overtime to make new bile acids. This was in a study, proven in an animal study, where the animals were fed a cholesterol high diet, and then they were given a bunch of apples. And that indicated that less cholesterol was returning to the liver. An apple a day keeps your cholesterol away. Yep. And helps you to not have gallstones due to the malic acid. All right. Method of attack number 4. Polyphenols in the apples lower cholesterol absorption by interfering with the cholesterol's ability to cross over from the small intestine into the intestinal cells. So by disrupting the cholesterol transport to the liver, back to the liver, it lowers the return rate of the cholesterol. Because that's what happens if you have a high cholesterol diet and you're not having the cholesterol intervened with by being formed into bile, and it's not being eliminated through your your digestive system, then it's being reabsorbed through your intestinal walls to travel through your bloodstream and just continue piling up until you end up with atherosclerosis. Okay, method of attack number 5, apple polyphenols affect the liver's construction of VLDL. Remember, that's the parent molecule of LDL. So it modifies the VLDL's packaging. So it then encourages a strand of protein called ApoB. VDL has 2 additional proteins, ApoC and ApoE. But the polyphenols interfere with the enzymes involved in production of both of those core components, leading to a decline in their availability. So it can never be broken down. So less secretion of VLDL, it never turns into LDL. And then method of attack number 6, polyphenols, again, have been shown to positively affect blood vessel dynamics by reducing adhesion molecules, so making the arterial wall less sticky. By the way, sugar makes everything sticky in your vessel walls. You end up with blood flowing around that's like really sticky blood. Polyphenols reduce the ability of platelets to stick together, which lessens the ability of the blood to clot, keeping a blood from clotting, from choking off the blood supply to the heart muscle. So it lowers your risk that way. And then also the polyphenols alter blood vessel mechanics by helping your blood vessels to relax and be flexible. And good for your skin health, Heather says. Yep. Oh, skin is better for more. Marianne asked, on or skin off or on the apple? If it's organic, then I would say eat the skin. I think apples are like on the dirty dozen, like right up close to the top. So you always want to get organic apples. Yep, better with the peels. All right. And she suggests an apple a day. All right. Next up. All right, I might have to skip this next one because remember, it's an old book. So some of it's a little wonky. And when I tell you, there's some people that are going to go, no. Eat margarine with phytosterols. None of us are going to eat margarine. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't want manufactured butter. I'd rather eat the real thing. So we'll skip over that one. You all can go and look into that if you'd like. Another suggestion was soy protein. And I looked up to see what are some soy alternatives, because soy, I don't know about soy. I don't feel real comfortable about soy myself. I would not increase my soy protein for anything. And does everybody here feeling the same way about soy? Anybody wondering why I'm feeling that way? Since this book was written in 2006, there's been a lot of connections between consuming soy and breast cancer. And so I honestly don't like it anyways. So it's not a big loss for me. I don't like soy milk. I don't like the soy foods. I don't like tofu. I don't like any of that stuff. So I'm not interested in anything soy. I'm going to skip right over that guy. Now, soy substitutes, though, when I looked that up to see what could be some good substitutes for that, yeah, we're all on camp no soy. Beans and lentils, hemp seeds, pea proteins. These were the things that were suggested. And I'll get to more substitutes here in a little bit. So let's go ahead. And you could say, though, the plant sterols and stanols, all of your plants that help to work with your body to keep it healthy. Because she did mention phytosterols. I say, yeah, eat the greens. Leave out the fake butter. Okay, so the next food is garlic. And we all know garlic as being great for cardiovascular support, great for your vascular health. We know it prevents blood clotting. Um, Such a great reputation on so many fronts. Let's go see what she says her methods of attack are. I'll be interested in reading about those. It's all in allicin. That's why, when you bite on a garlic, it releases allicin immediately, ALLICIN. And that is one of the things that's good about eating fresh garlic, because you get that right when it's released. Attributed largely to the act. So it has that HMG CoA reductase enzyme that helps control the production of cholesterol in the liver. So that's the number one way that garlic promotes healthy cholesterol. Reducing the number of cholesterol and fat-carrying lipoproteins that are formed in the intestinal cells and transport cholesterol from the cells to the liver. Okay, so that's another way. And I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I'm seeing we're getting close to time. Also, studies of age reveal that during garlic's aging process, health-promoting saponins, the hormone-like compounds, are produced. One type of saponin, somewhat unique to garlic, is called beta-chlorogenin, which has been shown to block cholesterol absorption from the intestinal tract. Okay, so that's another way. It blocks cholesterol absorption in your intestinal walls. And it's suggesting, what is she say? I need to get to it. I feel like I'm running out of time here. So garlic is another good one. Who's after garlic? What food is next? Or was that? Yay, I made it through all the foods. Okay. Another thing she promotes in here is walking. That's walking. She promotes walking. That's in her plan. So let's talk about, what is this plan? The Cholesterol Down 10-step daily checklist. Let me give you guys the 411 on this. She suggests plant sterols and stanols. She mentions margarine, but we don't have to have it that way. Other phytosterol containing foods. So phytosterol containing foods, that's like your vegetables, right? She is suggesting two meals a day, incorporating that. So yeah, green foods. She's suggesting 1 clove fresh garlic at 1 meal, plus take 1 kyolic garlic capsule in the evening. So 1 clove at a mealtime. And kyolic garlic is your aged garlic. It's a certain kind of garlic that you have to buy. Eat some of the not so good things that your body will rid of what's not good. But if the diet consists of too much, well, then that's going to bring on issues. Been dicing scapes into meals. Awesome. Yeah. So she suggests the garlic, and then she suggests the Metamucil, working up to, so you start lower, but working up to approximately 3 grams in the morning and 3 grams in the PM. Or you could, which is like 1 to 2 tablespoons of powder in the morning and the PM. Or if you take capsules, you could do the capsules. Oatmeal, she suggests 1 bowl of oatmeal per day. 1 cup of oatmeal, or 1 cup of barley. You could alternate those. She suggests 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds. Freshly ground is best. 1 apple. And see, you could do your oatmeal with the flaxseed and an apple all at the same time. Yeah, she doesn't tell you what not to eat, Heather. She tells you what to eat. Almonds, a little handful. I don't know, what would that be, about 6 almonds? And then walking 30 minutes every day fast. It's really not that much if you think about it. I mean, a clove is a garlic clove, not a glove, but a garlic clove. You would do that with your meal. Probably like your midday meal. The Metamucil, she does suggest capsules for people that don't want to drink it. So the psyllium husk or Metamucil, you could take those as capsules if you wanted to. Working yourself up to 3 grams, 3 to 10 grams psyllium. So 1 to 2 tablespoons powder, or if you do it as capsules, whatever the equivalent. Yes, every day. So your Metamucil could be, a supplement. You eat veggies a couple times a day, but you got to get it. I think the hardest one would be that oatmeal, like the oatmeal. Maybe you could do an oatmeal muffin with apples and have to eat a muffin made out of oatmeal once a day. And the beans, you have to have a half a cup of beans. So that would be on top of your salad. It could be added to your green beans if you have a side dish of that. That's what the meal plan is. And it has worked. She does give like some recipes at the back, so that's kind of cool. All right, before we end, I think it's a great book. I will say it was hard for me to stick to it back years ago when I tried to do that with my dad, and he is incredibly disciplined, and he did stick to it, and it did work for him. One meal is my whole day. Well, a half a cup of beans and a cup of oatmeal. Like that's those are 2 meals right there. But anyway, all right, let's talk about herbs that might help support an effort in lowering cholesterol. And we did talk about the herbs that increase bile. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. Fiber binds to bile acids. If you have an increase in bile acids, you need to make sure that you have fiber supporting those bile acids. Bile acids are made from cholesterol, and the liver has to pull more cholesterol from the blood in order to create bile. Hey, Teagsy, thanks for coming. So if you're increasing your bile production, just make sure if you're taking any bitters, make sure you take the bitters before you eat, not after you eat. They could, you might have some discomfort if you take them after you eat. So bitters before you eat. But the herbs, you're looking at your garlic, your hawthorn, your turmeric, artichoke leaf, dandelion root, your dandelion root coffee, right? Incorporating that there. Together, all of those are going to help with circulation, oxidation, inflammation, liver function, digestion, and bile flow. I think the greatest example is that garlic is just amazing. Garlic is an amazing one. We mentioned soy earlier, and we're all on team no soy. So some suggestions were more beans and lentils, but we're all talking about how hard it would be to get the food in there too. Hemp seeds, that could be a good one. Chia seeds, I think, could be a good one to include in your diet. And I did have a note about chia seeds here somewhere. Here it is. Chia seeds would be an excellent option for anybody who's trying to avoid grains. So if you're trying to minimize the amount of grains you're on, they have high soluble fiber. They're also omega-3. They provide blood sugar support. Oh, that's awesome, Teagsy. I'm so glad you liked all those seeds. Buckwheat is another good one for avoiding gluten-containing grains. High mineral content, good protein, supports vascular health through the rutin content. If anybody has not heard of rutin, it's rutin. It's an herbal supplement. It's really good for you, high in vitamin C and all kinds of stuff. So all in all, you've got garlic as your cardiovascular herb. Flax is like your demulcent, nutritive seed. The oats are your nervine tonic. Beans are your traditional longevity food. Apples are digestive and antioxidant support. So, in summary, no one food or one herb or one anything is going to help you. You need to try to use everything together to work together. And don't forget the walking either, because walking helps keep your body moving. And if you can incorporate movement into your daily life, then that's going to help you. Okay. Any questions? We're at the top of the hour. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And the next time we do a live, it's going to be the Name That Herb game. Tigsy, you were a great, I think you were the grand winner on the other one. You and Jennifer did great on that. It's either going to be next Tuesday or the Tuesday after. I am thinking about switching these to every other Tuesday, just because I'm really buckling down and trying to get all my assignments handed in. I'm trying to do 3 lessons a month through the end of October. So that gives me time to work on the hardest part of the course. I've got to be done with it in March of next year. So that's my goal. So if it's not next Tuesday, it'll be the following Tuesday. And I hope to see all of you there. Thank you everyone for coming. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Go do some herby stuff. Bye guys.